Okay, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Inuit Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Cynthia Stevens, and I'll be chairing today's hearing. Joining me from the Board of Revision is Mr. Narinder Paul Danjal and Mr. Richard Whitbread. Our assessor is Matthew Harling, and our recording secretary this morning is Belen Rojo. We will be hearing applications for a revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant. Following the swearing in, we will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have. Then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private to make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 2 through 9 on our docket today. Ms. Rojo, can you please affirm the assessor's testimony for this first property? Thank you.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Matthew Harling.
And you affirm you have to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Harling, so we'll start with number 2 on the docket today, and the roll number ends in 440. So if you'd like to read the property onto the record, then we can deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 223364. The roll number is 1209780640. The owner is Denardi Properties Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on reference date April 1st, 2021 is $195,000. Would you like to go over the rest of the brief, I guess?
Yeah, no, well, I understand that the agent has requested a confirmation on this property, and we do have that in writing. Is that correct?
That is, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just going to ask the other panel members if they have any questions regarding this. Mr. Whitbread, any questions? Richard? No. You know what? You're on mute, Richard.
I have none.
Thank you. And Mr. Danjal, any questions?
No, just if the plenty can a little bit speak up a little bit more higher so I can hear it properly.
The assessor?
Oh,
yes,
sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe just a little closer to the microphone, Matthew. Thank you. Okay, thank you. And I have no questions, so that concludes item number 2. So we'll move on to the next property, which is item number 3 on the docket, and the roll number ends in 100. And when the applicant appears again, we will have you swear him in, Ms. Rojo. Thank you. And there he is. Okay, we're just gonna swear you in, Rocky.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know it was mine. I was looking at the docket and I thought I was number 4.
Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Rocky Neufeld.
And you affirm the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Harling, please proceed with the property when you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 223293. The roll number is 1309-263-0100. The owner is 6439586 Canada Incorporated. The 2023 assessed value based on the reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $135,700. If you put it below page 1 of my brief, you'll see the property type is a vacant industrial parcel of land. It is zoned M2 Manufacturing General, and the land area is 19,618 square feet. If we go to page 2 of my brief, you'll see the subject map of the subject property where it's located on Bury Street here. This is we're close to kind of Logan Avenue in the city. Now if we switch to page or go to page 3, you'll see a photo of the actual subject property. So you'll see here it's this parking lot here, just on Bury Street and Irish Avenue just above it here. So this is the outline of the property. Now if we go to page 4 of my brief, you'll see the zoning information. This is again zoned M2 Manufacturing General, and then there's just a brief description of what what entails in manufacturing general. If we go to page 5 of my brief, again you'll see the valuation summary. This property is just assessed as its on land value at again $135,700. And there are no recent sales on the subject property. Now if we go to page 6 of my brief, you'll just see my land sale comparables as well as the subject property. Again, the subject property is 19,618 square feet, and we're using a land rate of $6.92 a square foot to get the $135,700. Now look at my 4 comparables. My comparables range in size of 14,323 square feet to 21,222 square feet. Below that, you can see some of the zonings range from 1 to 3. And below that, you'll see some of the land influences. And further below that, you'll see the sale details of the comparables. The sale comparables range from July 21st, 2017 to August 1st, 2019. And the sale price per square foot range from $7.17 a square foot to $18.38 a square foot. So now if we turn to the next page, page 7, you just see some of the photos of the comparables. So this is comparable 1. This is located in Gabry Place, just off of Dismirons within the St. Bob's Industrial Park. So this would be a roughly 21,000 square foot, so very similar in size to the parcel, sold in 2019. Below that, comparable 2, this is on Jarvis Avenue. So it's located in Powers and Jarvis Avenue. So again, just a vacant piece of land. It's an external corner. This one's 16,337 square feet, so slightly smaller than the subject, but very close. And again, close to the subject being Jarvis Avenue. Comparable 3, this is also located on Jarvis Avenue and Mackenzie Street. This one's 14,647 square feet, so slightly smaller than the subject, but very similar in size. And this one sold in 2017. And lastly, at the bottom of page 8 of my brief, you'll just see comparable number 4. This is located on Archibald Street. And this is, you can see, so Plinkett and Archibald, so it's in St. Boniface, located in St. Boniface area of the city. And this one's again 14,323 square feet, so slightly smaller than the subject. And this one sold in 2019 for $13.61 a square foot. Now if we go to page 9 of my brief, you'll just see some classification liability information. Again, we're just assessing the property on land, and its current assessed value $135,700. And then if we go to page 10 and 11, this is just a municipal assessment act reserve information. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, do you have any questions?
Oh, yes, I do. Sorry, let me just get to the right. I have all these in the screen here. Sorry, I just got to get to the right file. It's 3293, right?
3293.
Yeah. Okay. Was there okay? The subject M2, correct?
That is correct.
And what is the surrounding land usage?
I believe there's a combination. I believe there's some. You know what? Let me just pull it up. I have it actually on the computer here. Just give you zoning here. A second, bear with me. There is some residential multifamily, as well as below that there is some res MC, so residential, and then above that, or surrounding residential, there's some residential adjacent to the property, the subject properties, but then around the surrounding area, there's also there's a rail line above it, obviously, and then to the left of the subject, there's an M3. So there's a variety of zoning, if you will, I guess. So residential and some industrial. So.
Well, is it possible to get to the subject property without going through a residential district?
No, you would have to be driving. I guess no, you would be driving through residential areas. Correct.
Okay. And given the way our city zoning works, is it likely, in your opinion, that they could actually get a development permit for this land for an N2 use, given the proximity of residential?
I'll be honest, I'm not 100% aware if it would not be possible or not. So.
Okay, and are you aware of the setback in our current zoning bylaw between residential zones and industrial zones?
Yes, I'm aware of the setback. Yes, I don't know the exact number, but yes, I am aware of the setback though.
So what is that setback?
I don't remember the exact specific number of the setback, but I know there is one for residential.
Okay, when the lot lines abut R1, R2, RMF, there is a setback, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And my last question is, we're going to hear another property today, the property next door to it, owned by the same party. Has there been thought to any sort of merging of the roles?
That would be something we could do, but unfortunately, the only way we can do that is that would be something the owner would have to request. We're not going to just change on our own because if we did it and the owner didn't request that, then we don't have the ability to do that. So that could be something I don't think would be make sense, obviously. But if we were to request it, we could definitely do that. So.
Okay, I wonder when that policy starts, because we often see the assessment department just merge them without being asked. Okay, well, I liked your answer better. Thanks. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Donjel, do you have any questions?
Not at this point. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
I have nothing. Thanks.
I just have one in terms of your comps, because they all show significant, well, not all of them are significant, but most of them are significantly higher sale price than the actual subject, and they're not in the same region. Was it just difficult to find something comparable there?
Well, like I said, I guess, yeah, two of them would be located in the same Dawson Industrial Park. The two closest ones would have been on Jarvis, so that's not terribly far from the subject. But again, too, trying to find the perfect comparables can be difficult. So again, I try my best to find a recent sale that would be similar in size as well. So, that's kind of where I'm trying to go with trying to find similar.
Okay.
Yep. Size, all that, so.
Okay, yeah, thank you. That's all I had. Okay, Mr. Neufeld, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you. The background on this is that there are two lots, and truthfully, the assessment on this one isn't horribly wrong. And we've given you some information on some sales we looked at, and on my page 1 is note that the Logan sale is very, very close by. Of course, that part of Logan is a different neighborhood than the subject. The subject is best described as an orphan lot, an orphan sort of development. It was built adjacent to the railway works yards, and over time the residential moved and encircled it. So it does suffer from the development difficulties with that. It's not likely that these lots could get a development permit, in my opinion, because of the proximity of residential to this zoning. So they are, when you look at the assessors' sales, they're all in industrial areas without any sort of outside influence, where there's not going to be civic opposition. There are a couple of old areas in Winnipeg like this. Bury is one. There's There's a Des Hotel where West Steel is located in St. Boniface, and there's Fort Garry where the big green building, I've forgotten who it is. It was Federal Pioneer for a while, where we have these large industrial buildings built almost 100 years ago for most of them, and where residential built around them. And so you can see our value difference is not much. And I think the next lot is the one with the issue. Thanks.
Thank
my
you.
presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
None, thanks.
Mr. Donjal, any questions?
Yes, I do have one question in reference to the actual property itself. Is there a tower, cellular tower there that I see in the middle of the picture?
Let me just see. That you're saying that shadow on the top
Yes,
left corner?
yes.
I'm just looking at another view of that. I haven't been out to the site myself. There is a tower there. Yes, there
A
is.
cellular tower.
I'm not sure if it's cellular. I'm looking at there. It looks like there's some repeaters at the top. I don't know for sure. It looks rather dated though. I'm looking at another picture of it from Google Street View. I wouldn't put this at next generation cellular. This looks like it's about 25 years old from the type of steel construction. It's got it's not circular, but I see what you mean.
I'm just wondering if you're aware of any income that's been generated because that spot has been occupied by whoever owns the cellular tower.
I don't have the income as a vacant land assessment. The city, of course, does not require these properties to provide, and I don't have it. I'm not going to make any assumptions. To me, I mean, I'm looking at the street view of it, and it looks it. Yeah, you know what? This is really old. I'm looking at a different version of it, and I see the transformer at the bottom. This is an old generation. This looks to be an analog tower, by the looks of it. So I don't know. I don't know if it's modern or if it's in use, but it looks like that old style analog one.
Okay, I'm just curious about because it's all fenced up, it's all caged up, and usually when it's fenced and caged up, it's still in service. I'm just presuming, but I don't know.
Well, no, if it's analog, they're no longer in service. Again, I can only speak to, I'm looking at the street view, and there's like a lot of weed growth around it, and debris inside the fencing area, and a fair amount of corrosion and rust. And I'm guessing here. So we have not taken this into account.
Okay, those are the only questions that I had.
But there is an interesting look at this, is that with the presence of a cell tower, that also means that there's a lack of utility to the rest of the site. So, it's not an addition to value. It's a displacement of value. It means they have less room for parking because the tower takes up space. So I think that's probably the message I would have, is that the rest of it is set up for parking. This takes away parking, and as a matter of fact, that entire north side it does not have stalls at all. So if you look at the picture, the aerial photo that we have provided, you can see that the north side has no parking at all, and there's only the 2 rows of parking on the south side of that property. So my guess, my assumption is that it's a displacement of income, not additional.
The only questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you. So just to that point, to Mr. Neufeld, so who is actually parking there? Are these residents from the what appears to be housing to the west of it there, or?
No, they're parking for the building on the east side at 15 Bury. It's manufacturing.
Oh, okay.
And their particular lot is developed to almost zero. They only have their lot is a couple of acres, and they have looks like about 12 parking stalls. So they use this for their other workers parking.
Okay, and is it the same owners?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's all I had. Thank you. Any requirement for summation from either of you gentlemen?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, no?
Not
All
at
right.
this point.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item number 4, and the roll number ends in 1100. So Mr. Harling, please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 223401. The roll number is 1309-263-1100. And the owner is 64395-586 Can Incorporated. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $285,000. I actually do have a recommendation for this property because I actually looking at both of these properties. Just to give a little bit of background, if you go to page 3 of my brief, this is actually just adjacent to the other parcel, so it's just below it. So it's also additional parking for that business that Mr. Neufeld had mentioned. So that being said, they're very similar in terms of size. This one's 24,641 square feet, where the previous one was 19,000 square feet. So I don't think there's much difference in terms of what they're used for. They're also both parking lots. So that being said, again, we're at $285,000, and that's using a land rate of 1031. So I'm making a recommendation to adjust the value to $165,000, and that's based on adjusting the land rate.
And is the land, did you adjust the land rate to the same as the previous property?
It's about, the previous one was 692, I believe. This one I'm at 670. It's slightly smaller because, again, bigger piece of land, so economies of scale. So.
Okay, so just 1 second here. I'm just taking notes on this.
Sorry.
Okay, so you're reducing your value from 285 to 165 based on a $6.70 square foot rate. That's correct?
That is correct.
And Mr. Neufeld, what do you think about that proposal?
That's pretty close to what we had, so that sounds pretty fair to me.
Okay,
that was our target all along here. So
okay.
I can't complain about getting what I wanted.
Okay, so you're going to accept the recommendation, and I'll just ask my panel members. Mr. Whitbread, did you have any questions?
I don't.
And Mr. Janjal, any questions?
No, I don't.
And I do not either, so thank you very much, gentlemen. And we'll move on to the next item on the agenda then, which is item number 5, and the roll number ends in 500. And Mr. Harling, please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is, excuse me, 223470. The roll number is 060580800500. The owner is the state of Jose Manuel Cabral and Maria Concio El Retro Cabral. The roll number, the roll of 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $677,000. If you go to the bottom of my page 1, you'll see this property is in vacant industrial parcel of land. It is zoned for M3 manufacturing heavy, and the land area is 100,626 square feet. If you go to page 2 of my brief, you'll see where the subject property is located. So at the top, you'll see a subject map. So this is located on Mission Street, on Provencher Boulevard. So this is close in the St. Boniface area of the city. Now, if you go to the bottom of page 2, you'll actually see where the subject property is. So you'll see the outline of the subject property, where the little red dot is. So again, this is just off of Mission Street here. So If we go to page 3 of my brief, you'll just see the zoning. This one again is zone M3, heavy manufacturing. So, and then there's just a description of what some of the what can be built on an M3 manufacturing zone parcel of land. If we go to page 4 of my brief, just the evaluation summary, just a land value at $677,000, and there are no recent sales on the subject property. If we go to page 5 of my brief, you'll see some of my land sale comparables. Now again, just looking at the further right-hand corner, left-hand corner, you'll see the subject. We're using a $6.73 a square foot land rate, which gives us $677,000. Now, if we look at my comparables, so my comparables range in size of 44,598 square feet up to 119,996 square feet. To the zonings range from M1 to M2 and M3. And below that, you'll just see some of the land influences on the subject as well as my comparables. The date of sales, they range from October 25th, 2017 to October 22nd, 2019. And the sale price per square foot range from $6 a square foot up to $9.13 a square foot. So it's all kind of, they bracket the, I feel like they get bracket the subject as well as their fairly recent sales. Now we go to page 6 of my brief. These are just some photos of my comparables. So comparable 1, this is located on Fermor or Niagara Road, which is off of Fermor. So you'll see this one at the top here. It's kind of a triangle shaped parcel of land, slightly irregular shaped piece of land. Again, this one sold in 2018 for $913. This one's slightly smaller than the subject, and I won't dispute that this one has a bit better, visibility than the subject being on a, Fermor ever being a bit more busier street. But I think that's reflected in the sale price. If we go to the bottom of page 6, this is comparable sale 2. This is actually very similar, close to the first comparable. Located on Niagara Road. Again, you can see it in the map there, Fermor Avenue as well. This one's 59,000 square feet. So a fairly recent sale in 2019, sold for $7.62 a square foot. It only has the one access point on the front of Niagara Road, and again, it's more, kind of more of a rectangular shape. So it would be similar in terms of shape to the subject, but again, the subject being larger. Comparable 3, this is located on Provencher Boulevard. So this would be close to the subject property. This one again, this would be the smallest of my comparables at 44,000 square feet. But it is the same type of zoning, sold in 2019 for $7.48 a square foot. You also see too, it's kind of definitely an irregular shape compared to the subject. So it starts out as a square, but then it kind of jaunts down, as you can see. So, but again, this one would be closest to the subject. Comparable 4, this is located in the Inkster Industrial Park. This is 90,000 square feet, so similar size to the subject. This one sold in July 3rd, 2018 for $8.94 a square foot. This one I won't dispute has a bit better access in the sense, if you look at it's got it's an external corner, but again very similar in size, and it's located in an industrial park, the Inkster Industrial Park. So again, I won't dispute this one's a bit better than the subject, but again I think that's reflected in the sale price. And lastly, comparable number 5. This is located on Foster Street. This is actually just north of this is actually Nairn Avenue, but this would be fairly close to the subject as well. This one's slightly larger than the subject. Slightly older sale in 2017, sold for $6 a square foot. But I believe that's reflected too, and also the terms of the sale date, because sale prices have gone up since 2017, and you'll see it's also a slightly irregular shaped parcel of land compared to the subject, which is more of a rectangular shape. Going to page 9 of my brief, you'll just see the classification and liability location. Again, just the assessed value at $677,000. And page 10 and 11 of my brief are just some municipal assessment active reserve information. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, any questions? Oh, Mr. Neufeld, you're on mute.
Yes, I know. Everyone always says that, but you should look at what I have to deal with. I got to find the link. It's buried under 6 different screens. I got it. Now I have to find the. Okay, sorry. Now I have it here. The subject property. I'm just wondering. Do you have an idea of what they're doing on the site?
I've driven past it recently, but I'll be honest, I'm not entirely 100% sure what they do on the site, so.
Okay, just from the picture, it looks like there's equipment on the site. Some sort of works yard, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I would kind of, yeah, looks like there's definitely some kind of manufacturing of some kind of materials or, it's like gravel and sand kind of idea from what I can tell, so.
Okay. And now your comparables, except for the one, I'm looking at numbers 1, 2, 4, and 5. They're all different zoning, correct?
There's definitely, there's different, they do it.
And they are located in different parts of the city, are they not?
Well, again, like I said, Niagara Road would be in St. Boniface Industrial Park, so it's it's a bit further away, but it's not like half across the city. But yes, I won't dispute it's not like adjacent to the subject. So.
Well, okay, and the comparable number 3, and I'm looking at the picture of it. Did you investigate the sale at all?
Let me just, I can double check this to make sure. I think I have covered here. 2 seconds here, I apologize.
I mean, other than what you presented here today, do you know anything, any of the motivation behind the sale?
No, I don't know. I mean, we have verified it, so it is a good sale from what we've verified. But you're right. I don't know if there was any motivation or specifics of what went into the sale now. So.
Well, you are aware that it's a compound storage for vehicles, correct? Trucks, trailers, RVs, and boats. Just looking at the picture, you can see there's vehicles parked in it, right?
There's some vehicles parked on it, but I can't say for certain if that's. I guess, but yeah, you're right. There's some storage on it. Yes, at this point, yes.
And is there an actual lot line fencing separation on the regular part of that to the on the south side?
I don't believe there is a fence there, no. So that I can see.
So it's likely that these lots were adjoined, you think, or would you agree with that?
Possible. I'd have to take a look. There may have been like a replot potentially. Yes. So yes, but I'd have to do some research. I didn't dig that far to be honest with you. So, but.
I'm just looking at the Google Street View, and of course it's clean all the way to the back. The lots are adjoined. So I'm wondering, was there another sale involved here?
As far as I can tell, like I mean, most up-to-date information we have, I can't see any other sales of the parcel below it or anything like that. But I mean, I don't dispute that the possibility. You're right. There was like a replot where the pieces of land were like amalgamated or merged or taken apart essentially. So.
And the parking, is it, to your knowledge, is it electrified?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. I am looking at a view of it that's advertising electrical parking stalls available. Now, on that basis, wouldn't this be classified as a surface parking rather than an industrial lot?
I mean, I don't see. Can you show me a receipt? I mean, where does it show that? Like, looking on Google View. I'm not sure where.
I can submit it as rebuttal information.
I'm sure I can take a look myself here. Just want to double check. I can't speak because I'm not aware. So, but I mean, you're right. It's used for storage, but I still don't see why it couldn't be used for something else other than that case. But I see what you're saying though. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and on that basis, wouldn't it be? I mean, I know the assessment department assesses outside parking under the income approach. Do you think that the transaction would have been based on its industrial development capability or the revenue being generated by the parking?
I'm not aware of the specifics of the sales cycle. I can't speak to that. So.
Okay. In the roadway mission, is it finished where the subject is on?
On mission itself, no, I don't believe it's. Well, on Mission Street, in front of the subject property, that is paved. It is a paved road. So, but.
Paved. Sorry, it does not have curbs, does it?
Oh no! I don't believe there's curbs. No.
And there's ditches.
I believe there is ditches.
Right. And you're saying paved, was it paved with concrete or is it just a layer of asphalt put on the top of a gravel base?
I believe it is asphalt because I've driven down this road many times. So.
Okay. Okay, so it doesn't have the load-bearing capability of a concrete poured road then, does it?
I guess, it wouldn't, but I mean, it's, there's like, I've seen a lot of heavy trucks drive down there, but I understand what you're saying. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Donjel, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread?
No, I don't. Thank you.
And I do not either. So, Mr. Neufeld, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you. The subject property, actually, we became involved when Mr. Cabral passed away, and we valued this property for the estate, for the probate on the will, and the number we provided you today is the number that we put on that probate. So there's not an issue of we're not being selective here. This is what Revenue Canada was told. And these are the sales that we looked at and applied to them. Now, there's a real lack of M3 sales because the old part of St. Boniface is still about the only place where the M3 still exists, and they're not making any more of it. Most of the land is going to M2 zoning, and M3 is being rather squeezed out. The ones we had looked at were, and you can see on my page 1, were all in the neighborhood, and the way you can tell that is just look at the roll numbers. They all start with 6. So this is all St. Boniface. Our average is $476 a square foot, or 207,000 per acre, and that's what we applied to the subject, same as we did for probate. It's a work compound. They ran a cement business on an adjacent lot, and it was this is part of their storage. I'm not sure if this lot at one time had a small building on the site which has no value, yes, it did have a small silo on the site, which you can see in the picture, which has absolutely no value, as it was just part of their business and extremely old and small. I think that, like I said, just Mission Street at this place is a ditched road. It is a gravel roadway that has an asphalt topping on it. Weight capacity it doesn't support highway traffic weight, and of course people go down it, and it's doesn't generally stop the trucks from going down it, but it's not developed, nor is it wide. It is a narrow roadway, just the 2 lanes, so it's not to what they call highway transport standards. Thinking of, for example, the new roads built on in Centerport area, that's highway transport quality, paved and wide turns. So it's just an old St. Boniface, and I think our number is fair. We've stayed as close as possible to the neighborhood, and as I said, not providing assessments, review numbers that differ from what was provided to CRA to settle the estate. That's my presentation. Oh, I do. Yes, there is a picture of it below page on my page 2, showing the cement tower on the site.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Mr. Harling, any questions?
Just one. I just noticed some of the sales shown here on your page 1. Like, I noticed at the bottom you have the 4 sales here. Like, it shows an average of 374. That's part of like a multi-roll sale, correct?
It's part of what?
That's the multi-roll sale, that one there at the bottom where it's got it says debates, when you have like 1, 2, 3, 4 sales.
Right. On my page 4, there's a picture of it, and all the parcels sold together.
Okay, that's right. Oh yeah, I didn't see that. I apologize. I didn't see it there. Okay, that's all the question I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
Nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Donjal, any questions?
Just one question. The picture on page number 2, Only is a picture with the silo and the semi truck coming in, parked at the side. Is that fairly recent or fairly old picture?
This is an old picture. I'm looking at it. Just want to see if there's a date on the stamp on this. This would be taken about the time that we did the estate work, which I think was. I'm just looking for the right date on this. In my files, I believe it was 20. Oh, I just found it. 2019, May 2019.
May 2019. So right now it's just a vacant lot, nothing. They basically do nothing there. The whole thing is shut down and just.
No, I think they're still running it as the compound, and the silos I believe are still in place. The sons and the widow are running the business, and you'll see from the picture that this is equipment rather than real estate. And no, we never put a value on it at all when we did it for the estate because it's marginal. Just looking at the this is one second here. I'm on a board revision. Don't have screens here. Sorry, my number for it, I for the estate, May 2019 was $400,000. That was the value that was submitted to Revenue Canada. And they're a little confusing because there's actually two lots in the estate, and so the one that is under appeal is not. They have a 4.9 acre lot across the street or next door, and then the 2 acre lot, a 2.3 acre lot, which is the subject of this, which is adjacent. And oh, now I see the problem here. We did provide you the wrong picture.
That's where my confusion is, because it says a vacant lot, and then
no, it is a vacant lot. The picture that we're showing you is the 4.9 acre parcel with a cement plant next door. This actual lot that I'm looking is under appeal is it has gravel top, but it's not it's not the subject. Sorry, I'm just looking at it here in the screen here. Yeah, it's the picture we provided is not the picture of the subject. It's a picture of the neighboring property. Now I've got the right one. It's the one you're looking at, the lot next door in our picture. The line, well, see the lot line. If you look at the picture, you see where the white truck is. That's the lot line. So the pile of rubble to the right side is the subject. The silo is on the neighboring property, which is 727 Mission. They're adjoining lots. So I apologize. I went ahead too quickly. You are looking at the subject, but it's on the right side of the picture. We took these when we did the estate. We had we treated them as one economic unit for the valuation, but then we did a breakdown for the land value, and that was, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, they're looking at, the square footage of 100 square foot, 162.6 square foot.
Right.
And I'm there, how do you get that square footage if it's a vacant lot, but
Well,
really
it's,
confused.
yeah, it's about 2.3 acres.
Yeah,
And that's what we applied at 2.3 acres, at around 100,000 square feet. So no, okay, we got the number right. We got the land right. The picture is a bit, we'll call it a bit misleading in that it's not the subject lot that you're looking at in the picture. You're just looking at a part of it.
okay. That's the only questions that I.
Yeah, no,
Okay, well, you know what, I'm just, for clarification for the panel members here, I'm looking and I'm a little confused as well, because the assessor has shown the same plot outline as you have. And on the plot outline, when I'm looking from above, I don't see the cement tower there. So I'm just confused as to, like you said, it was adjacent?
yeah, I'm looking, I've gone to another mapping program, which is the city aerial map. Okay. The lot outline, yeah, is the same.
Like, to me, when sorry, Rocky, but when I look at this,
Yeah.
it looks like that the photograph below is not even near there, but
No, I see what you're saying. And the photographs that were put into our report were clipped from the file that we did for the estate, and rather than clipping them from, typically we'll use when we'll do the aerial, we'll use the city map, and then we'll do the street shot. These were taken from the appraisal file, and I'm looking at the exact picture taken from the appraisal file. So bottom line, I guess I wouldn't trust my pictures.
yeah, well, just to clarify, both you and the assessor have the same plot outline.
Right.
So it appears you're using the same information there. So it's just the picture below should not be considered, correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Right. You know, we're a family corporation here, and my daughter did the appraisal and my son did the workup, and I'm here explaining it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just want to clarify so that we know what we're looking at. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, may
yes.
I ask you? I'm just
Yes,
I'm a little bit confused, and the question is for Matthew. He's got a photo with the red dot on it that is the same as the mistaken photo that the applicant had. Where did your photo come from, Matthew?
No, well, the mistaken photo is the one below that shows, Mr. Whitbread, it's the one that shows the cement tower below Mr. Neufeld's plot outline. It's the picture below that. That's not part of that plot outline. So you see the picture with the cement tower below there?
The gray sort of.
The one with the pile of rubble and that's just below Mr. Neufeld's plot outline?
Yeah, I'm not in Mr. Neufeld's. Okay. Okay.
So that's the picture that shouldn't be there.
But the other one is fine.
Yes.
The one above that.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct, Mr. Neufeld?
Yes, I think we've got it here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I confused myself.
Okay, I understand now.
Okay, all right. And other than that, I have no further questions. So any requirement for summation from either of you?
No, I'm good, thank you. I'll just rely on my evidence, so.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld?
Well, just briefly, yeah, I mean, apologize for the confusion. We did have, this was a case where we had some prior involvement with the property and dealing with the estate, and as a result, we're just a little, there's some connection issues. But I am now have the appraisal that we did for the estate with the effective date of 2019. We put a rate of 175,000 an acre on this for the transfer, and it was and now for assessment we're saying 207,000 an acre. So we did come at this from two approaches, and it is M3, that's good, but the other locational qualities are lacking. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so that concludes this item. So the next item on the docket is 1444 Church Avenue. And Mr. Harling, please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 22-3057. The roll number is 14063960200. The address is 1444 Church Avenue, and the owner is Cass Santos Properties Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $250,000. I do actually have a recommendation for this one, this property. I was going to just kind of review it and do a little bit more history of it, and I'll explain to why I'm making the rec. So if you just go to page 3 of my brief, you'll see the outline of the subject property in red. So now this piece of land is owned by the same adjacent parcel to the left of the subject, the bigger building on the left side. So they use this primarily for like parking. So that being said, I'm mindful of that. It's not like a piece of land that's just being used for potentially development or anything like that. So so again, we're at $250,000, and I'm making a recommendation to $160,000. And then again, that's just adjusting the land rate. So based on comparables I saw. So
okay, and could you give us the land rate that you use then, please?
575.
575. Okay, Mr. Neufeld, Mr. Harling is recommending a reduction to $160,000 based on 575 a square foot. What do you say about that number?
Yeah, that's pretty close to what we had, so we find that acceptable. And now you don't have to hear about half-life of cadmium that's on the property.
Okay, all right. So recommendation is $160,000 based on a square footage rate of 575. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
No, it's fine.
Thank you. Mr. Danjal, any questions?
No, I don't have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you, and I do not either. So thank you, gentlemen. We'll move on to 2553 Inkster. 2533 Inkster, pardon me. And Mr. Harling, please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 22-3279. The roll number is 140-999-6300. The address is 2533 Inkster Boulevard, and the owner is 6387528 Manitoba Limited. 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $718,000. To the bottom of page 1, you'll see the property type again. It's a vacant industrial parcel of land. It is zone M2 manufacturing general, and the land area is 127,553 square feet. Now, if you go to page 2 of my brief, at the top, you'll see a subject map of the property, just located on Inkster Boulevard. And looking at the bottom, you'll actually see the parcel outline of the subject. So it's that square shape just right on the fronting Inkster Boulevard there. So now, if you continue to page 3 of my brief, you'll just see the zoning. Again, it's zone M2, manufacturing general, just a description of what it entails in that. If we go to page 4 of my brief, you'll see the property just value on its land at $718,000. And the last time this property sold was in January 17, 2012, so there was no recent sales on the subject. Now, if we go to page 5 of my brief, you'll see some of my land sale comparables. So on the very left, you'll see the subject property. Again, 127,552 square feet, or roughly 2.9 acres. It is zoned M2. And then you see some of the land influences. And we're applying a land rate of $5.63 a square foot. Now, looking at my comparables, they range in terms of size of apologies, comparable two should actually be 118,126, not 119,996, so it's slightly different. 118,126 is what it should be. So they range from 118,126. Oh, wait, you know what? Actually, I think I showed it twice there. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. It is what I believe it is actually 119,996. I apologize. Looking at something else. So sorry. They range from 90,564 square feet to 146,530 square feet. So you'll see the zoning types for the subjects or comparables, as well as the land influences. Sale dates range from December 5th, 2016 to July 9th, 2020. And the sale price per square foot range from $6 a square foot, or sorry, $5.46 a square foot to $8.94 a square foot. So I believe they fall within bracket subject to land rate we were applying. Now I'm going to page 6 of my brief. You'll see some photos of the comparables. Now this comparable or comparable one is on page 6 is located in St. Boss Industrial Park. So this would be a different area of the city. It is an industrial park though, but this one sold for $5.46 a square foot. Slightly larger than the subject, so that would be another reason for the slightly higher land rate. Comparable two, I've actually spoken to previously. This is 25 Foster Street, so this is an Mission Industrial. This one again sold in 2015 or 2017 for $6 a square foot. Again, slightly irregular shaped parcel. Comparable three, this is located in Oak Point Highway, so this would be the closest. This would be close to the subject, 102 square feet. This is a recent sale, January 2nd, 2020, sold for $6.28 a square foot. You can see this one definitely is more of a regularly shaped parcel of land, just on fronting Oak Point Highway there. Page 8 of my brief, or sorry, yeah, page 8 of my brief is comparable number 4. This is located at 1881 Burroughs Avenue. This is an older sale in December 5th, 2016. This is actually pretty close to the subject. Just keep going down Burroughs and eventually hit Inkster. This one sold for $8.68 a square foot. Fairly comparable in size, 97,964 square feet, but again, slightly smaller, which would be another reason for the higher land rate. And then comparable 5, I spoke to this one previously. This is located on Redwood Avenue. This is also located in the Inkster Industrial Park, which would be fairly close to the subject. Sold on July 3rd, 2018 for $8.94 a square foot. Again, this one has a bit better access. I wouldn't dispute being on Redwood and Balmoral there. Page 9 of the brief, sorry, and page 10 is just some municipal assessment access information. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, any questions?
Yes. The subject neighborhood, you're calling this North Inkster, I take it?
Yes, this would be North Inkster, correct.
Yeah, or it's also known as Inksbrook as well, correct?
Inksbrook as well, yes, correct.
Yeah, okay. And your comparables, none of them are from this area, are they?
Well, like I said, Oak Point and Burroughs, they're not that far from the subject. So I mean, yes, they're not again adjacent, but I don't believe they're that far from the subject. So.
Well, do you know anything about the history of the Inksbrook development?
I know some of the background, but I don't know like the long-term history, if you will. So.
Okay, not beginning with its development in 1996 or
no,
anything like that. Okay. So these other sales, St. Boniface, the Tyne Tees, which is just off Nairn, they're quite some distance away, are they not?
Again, those two, yes, would be. I wouldn't see those two are further away, but as I said, the 3, 4, and 5 would be closer though. But yeah, so.
Now, number 3 is a bit closer, but your sale on this one is C3 zoning, correct?
It's actually a combination of C3 and M1 actually. So.
What is C3 predominantly?
Would be commercial, yes.
Yeah, but it's okay, commercial, mostly automobile sales related.
Yes, there is some of that in this because there's storage here. Well, it looks like there's storage. Well, they're using mostly for storage in the when it's like you can see the picture there, just storing. So I don't know if it would really be considered.
I'm just asking about the C3 zoning.
Oh, the C3 zoning. Okay. Oh, yes, with that classification, yes, I correct you.
Okay, and Burroughs and Redwood are in the Inkster development, Inkster, the traditional Inkster area, which is bounded by Inkster to the north, Keewatin to the west, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And the subject lands, did you look into the access to them? I mean, you've got a picture here. I guess I'm looking at your page 2.
Correct, yeah.
So it's a shared access, correct?
Yes, to the adjacent parcel. I mean, you can access it off Inkster though, so.
Yeah, right. That's what I meant. It's
Oh,
that
yeah.
single access off Inkster, which is shared with the property next door.
That is correct. Same one.
And the property owner next door is the same as the subject owner, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And at this point in Inkster, is there access to the eastbound lane?
Oh, yeah, because yes, there's a median there, so you're right, on the eastbound side, yes, they can access from there, but.
They can't access. I mean, I'm having your sound is a little bit muffled.
Oh, apologies. I'm not sure why that is. I'm trying to be close as I can to the camera, but yes, you're right. From the east side, there is a median that makes it hard to get access to that. From
yeah, so you've got westbound access and westbound egress, but nothing east. So if you wanted to go east, you would have to go all the way around and to the lights and take some other path, correct?
Well, you could come down Inkster and you could just do a little, come down Grosvenor here and come around. So, but you're right. Yes, I won't dispute. You're right. You can make a direct turn off of there on the eastbound. Yes.
Okay. Do you know how long it's been marketed?
I do not know how long term it's been on the record now.
Okay. On your page, I don't understand this notes on bottom of page 5. What is this?
Well, yes, actually, I apologize. I should have mentioned that sooner. Yes. Well, there's actually a pre-adjustment of 15% applied to this. So theoretically, our land rate would be higher, but we've already applied a 15% adjustment to it. Now, that was something previously we had applied. It's probably something maybe we should be removing, but it's something that we had kept on due to, from what I remember, from when I was doing some of the history of the parcel adjacent to it, the one that's owned by the same owner. They used to have less land at the top of the parcel, so we were making adjustments for access issues. So that's why we applied that 15% adjustment, which has already been pre-adjusted. So, but again, that was why that's what the adjustments were based on an access issue, if you will. So, but again, it's already been pre-applied. So.
Okay. Thanks. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Donjal, any questions?
Not at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
No, I don't. Thank you.
And I do not either. So, Mr. Neufeld, please proceed with your presentation.
Yes, thank you. This was my first job ever in real estate going back to 1996, 97. So I'm really dating myself here. But on page, a good picture of this is on page 3. And the land that's north of Inkster and east of Brookside and west of King Edward is known as Inksbrook area. So the first developer was a person by the name of Klaus Rossler, who installed a lot of the infrastructure works, and eventually it changed hands. The parcel that is where the subject property is in, and you see the picture where the red dot is, that parcel, as well as the neighboring parcel immediately east, were the first users of the property. The one to the east, just south of the retention pond, is Fort Garry Industries. So these people were my clients, along with my partner at the time, Doug, and we were involved with purchasing the land, and we ended up having to get temporary services from the south side of Inkster to get the development going. Now, while this was happening, Mr. Rossler was installing the services, and the line on the map, you can see, you can actually trace where the services have been brought in. They came in from King Edward. There's a whitish line on, when you're looking at this, where it says Garten Avenue. You can just go a little bit north and then and look at that white line. That's actually a road right away. It's called I thought it was not commercial, it was another name for it, but the services were all installed to the Innsbruck area on this line. So the point is that this happened in the 90s, that the services were installed. And then it became Innsbruck phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 was what I just described to you. Phase 2 was happening to the south of it. But in total, I think there was 3 sections of land that ended up being the Innsbruck development. That retention pond is used by the people in Innsbruck only. So if you note the properties on Brookside Boulevard, immediately north of the red dot, those were pre-existing, so they are not part of the development. They didn't have to tie into the retention pond, but the other properties in here all get access to it. So the point is, and you'll understand why I'm explaining this later, these lands are serviced with water, sanitary sewer, and land drainage sewer. And the other services were already in place, the gas and electrical, that they were not an issue. So the first 3 users mentioned, one was Fort Garry Industries, and the other was Ed Danilchuk, who owned all of the land inside where the red dot is, bounded by the street called Innsbruck. He owned the south side, and then Caterpillar Trucks or actually a person by the name of Lawrence Usician owned 11 acres, which he then sold to Caterpillar. So Mr. Danilchuk began the process of taking his land and subdividing it, and his first goal was to establish a new dealership for Peterbilt at the corner, and he had plans for the other lots. Now the assessor's picture is the best one on page 2. This showed what Mr. Danilchuk owned, and the Peterbilt is the large one on the left, and then at the corner of Inkster and Innsbruck is Watrous. So that was sold to a company in Edmonton called 3M, who leased it out to Watrous Power Systems. And then the land with a greater depth, the one on the north, was sold to a specialty bakery company. And these sales took place almost 20 years ago. The subject property has been offered for sale for the last 25 years, and it's undesirable because it's access poor. You can see the other properties, they all get their east-west connections either via Innsbruck or Inkster, but the lot, in and around 2003, 2004, the city decided to twin Inkster. So going back to my picture on page 2, you can see the result of the twinning was that the subject property lost its eastbound entrance and eastbound access, and this hurt it. Now, for reasons of safety and traffic flow, they had to do it. There was no choice, and it was good for everybody else. So there was only one person it wasn't good for, and that was the subject lot. So they do share an access with Peterbilt dealership, and because it's under same ownership, they do cross each other's territory. And over time, what the owners have done is they've used the land for storage for their vehicles. At one time, Mercedes, who they also owned, has a 1 acre fenced lot that they stored, was their compound for Mercedes as well. So they have been able to use the land, but it's not marketable. So we had thought about asking for a roll merger. It might be worthwhile, but I think right now the ownership's still thinking that if somebody came along and wanted it, that they would sell it. But that's 25 years of hope. So the sales we'd looked at were listed on page 1, and we have a very narrow perspective on this because we're looking for sales in the area. So sale 1 is Oak Point Highway, and I think that's the same one that the assessor has used at $628 a square foot. he is correct in saying it does share some similarities. Yes, it is the same as the assessor's number 3. However, it is superior because it's at that point in Oak Point, a highway. Oak Point is got it's Oak Point Highway was designed for truck turning, so it's got very wide medians and U-turns. Inkster does not. So it is, and the other thing about Oak Point is that we've seen the transitioning from truck users to vehicle users. I think there's a handful of automobile dealerships in Oak Point, and just coincidentally, the same owner did own Lone Star Harley Davidson until they closed it down a few years ago on Oak Point, very close to this sale. So, but that's the flavor of Oak Point. The next sale was Logan, and Logan is probably, and that's shown on number 2. Logan is actually a really bad road right there, but it's industrial. It's pure industrial, and we looked at that sale. I think that the problem of getting vehicles into the Logan site is probably comparable to getting the vehicles into the subject site. But because of the quality of Logan as a roadway at that point. And the last sale, which I think bears the most weight, is 2700 King Edward. And the obvious with it is someone will say, well, yeah, but that's zoned agricultural. It's by 2019, the land was placed into a precinct. Precincts were a plan that came out of the 2010 planning direction, where a precinct had to be identified and then a development plan laid out for it in order to develop the entire area. And that began in 2019. So the land stayed zoned agricultural, but as I just pointed out to you, it is serviced. So it's done. Plus the city, because it's in a precinct plan, favors development. So there's not a block to getting it done. Now, what has happened in this precinct, it's now called Precinct T, standing for Terracon. Terracon have been developing it and have a development plan, and they're actually moving to a better, highest and best use, which was going to be a mix of single family, multifamily, and commercial. So it's a better use, and I think that's kind of a sale that should be a fair amount of weight because of the potential of it and the fact that it is serviced. So our number is. Given the access issues with this, we think that the mean of about 189,000 best represents the restrictions on this property. The value to it is now what we would call the accessory use to Peterbilt, but Peterbilt's got lots of acreage on its own. And you see the pictures. This picture is right, bottom of page 2. You can see the bread plant in the background, and the foreground is the subject property, and somebody's lonely old motorhome is parked there. So this isn't an active parking lot. This is dead storage parking. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Mr. Harling, any questions?
Just one question. So yeah, I guess just speaking to the comparables, like just the one, like the one I know you were putting the most weight on the one on King Edward there. So I mean, I understand what you're saying about that, but seeing as it is zoned technically agricultural, you couldn't build the type of buildings you could put on, or you couldn't build the same type of structures you could, let's say, on an M2 zone opposed to an agricultural, unless it was changed zoning, correct? Or
no, I think that the PUC and the zoning are misleading because they were based on what it was, but they're not based on why it was sold. In all honesty, I must tell you, I made a commission on that sale as a referral because that was my client's site. But I'm only saying that to let you know my knowledge of the area. This was being held for commercial use. And the only setback on development that you have to consider is that someone had to put in a plan for the whole area first to get it happening. But the highest and best use was going to be for something greater than industrial. I've been involved in that location, as I said, for 25 years. The lands immediately, for example, the lands immediately south of that were owned by the same family, and they also transacted around 2016 and 17. So they were assembled, bought by the same purchaser, and then the one we have marked as number 3 ended up being the same purchaser. So they now controlled precinct T. I think it's T, and now they've got a better or more profitable development plan. So they have some obstacles. They still have to they have to make application, but the planner supports it, and it's going to happen. So that's, I mean, you know, they have one obstacle. They have to go through planning. We've got an obstacle. We can't get access to it. Nobody wants it. That, to me, I was just balancing those off. They sounded about have the same impact on value.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
I have none, thanks.
Mr. Donjel, any questions?
Not at this point. Thank you.
I just have one. You mentioned that the property had been for sale for a long time. Is it actively being marketed, or?
Yes, Shindeco has been actively marketing it for about 25 years. And they do all the work for the family. I'm just trying to remember the agent's name. I've spoken to them lots of times. They've had signs up for a while, and it's on Shindeco's website. So it's on the marketplace. There's just you know, the corner location was good if you had the corner, but it's not. This is here's my theme for today. It's another orphan land lot.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I had. Any requirement for summation from either of you?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld?
No, that's good. Thanks.
Okay. We have 2 properties left, and it's 10:30. Any need for a 5-minute break with anyone, or should we proceed?
I would like one, and we're going to withdraw one too as well. But can I just take my break now?
Yeah, let's come back at about 10:30. That'll give us 5 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll recess for 5 minutes. Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll call the meeting back to order. The next item on the docket is 500 Dawson Road. And
that's the one we're going to withdraw.
Okay, since it is on the docket, we will hear the property, and you could do a request to confirm. Would that be okay?
No, there's a supplemental going to be coming out on it. It was developed and it's now being occupied. There's a building on it, so really, no point confirming it. It's November, so you know, I think the best course in this case is just to withdraw.
Well, I think Bellen, it's on the docket. We do have to hear the property, correct?
You can withdraw now if he wishes.
We can? Okay, good. All right, then that's what we shall do. And Mr. Harling, you're okay with that?
Yeah, no.
Okay, great. Okay.
Were you aware that it was being developed already?
I did notice. Yeah, I did notice there was some permits, I think, out for it. So yes, I was kind of aware of that. So yeah, but.
Okay, no, I personally just I'm really always out of the loop. I just found out today, so.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the confusion there. Since it was on the docket, I was under the assumption we had to hear it, but if you can withdraw it now, that's fine. So 500 Dawson Road has been withdrawn. So we'll now go to the last item on our docket today, which is on Burroughs Avenue. And Mr. Harling, please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 22-3261. The roll number is 141-000-47600. The address is Burroughs Avenue, and the owner is Nicola 11 Plymouth Nominee Inc. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $1,488,000. If we go to page 1 of my brief, at the bottom you'll just see this is again vacant industrial. It is zoned into manufacturing, and the land area is 196,070 square feet. If we go to page 2 of my brief, you'll see the subject map. The little red dot, I put, or the dot on the photo is actually where the subject property is located. You just can't really see it on the Google Street View or map view. But if you go to page 3, then you can actually see the outline of the parcel. So you'll see where it butts on Burroughs Avenue, and you'll see the you'll see the outline of the parcel again being slightly irregular shape, if you will. So if we go to page 4 of my brief, you'll just see it's again zone M2 manufacturing general, and just a brief description of what that entails. If we go to page 5 of my brief, we'll just see the land valuation, just for assessing at land. There is a recent sale, but it's a post-reference sale, so I will not be speaking to that. Now we go to page 6 of my brief. This is my land sale comparables, as well as information regarding the subject. Again, the subject again is 196,070 square feet. It's located on Burroughs within the Inkster Industrial Park. It's roughly 4.5 acres. Some of the land influences below, and we're applying a land rate of $7.59 a square foot. And if we go to my comparables you'll see range in size of 90,564 square feet to 285,796. So you'll see the land area, zoning, as well as some of the land influences on my comparables. If we go to the sale details, the land sales range from September 6, 2016 to June 20, 2019. When you start larger sales, I'm trying to find sales that would be close to the subject. So I admit there are a couple older ones, but again, I'm just trying to bracket sales similar to the subject side in terms of size and age and location. So these sales per square foot range from $6.57 a square foot to $9.76 a square foot. Now, if we go to page 7 of my brief, you'll just see some photos of my comparables. So page 7 of the top, comparable 1. This is located on Inkster Boulevard. This is actually really close to the parcel of land we spoke to previously on the property before this one. So this is just abutting on Inkster, and then Grosvenor Avenue is right here. If you go to bottom page 7, you'll see comparable 2. This is located on Oak Point Highway. This is actually very close to one of the comparables I spoke to, but you'll see it doesn't have as good access. Right off Oak Point Highway, there's a little bit of road and access to, and you'll see it's slightly regular shape, adjacent to a rail line, typically predominantly used just for storing vehicles, it looks like in this case. So again, 2016, so slightly older though. Comparable 8, this is on Burroughs Avenue. This is actually very close to the subject. I believe I did speak to this one previously. This one's 97,000 square feet, so it is smaller than subject, which would, another reason would have a higher land rate at $8.60 a square foot. Again, 2016 sale, slightly older. And then comparable sale number 4. This is located again, also in the Inkster Industrial Park on Redwood. This one sold for $894 a square foot. It's 90,000 square feet. So it's the smallest of all my comparables. But this one again too is better access. I won't dispute as it has access on both Bentel and so it's got essentially an external corner. So so go to page 9, my brief, just some classification liability allocation information. Again, just assessing on land, $1,488,000. And on page 10, 11, just basic assessment tax information. That concludes the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, any questions?
Yes. So that buzz will go away in a second. It's a copy machine. Has the subject property ever had a development on it?
Not that I'm aware of, so.
And it's in what's called Inkster Park Industrial, correct?
That'd be correct.
And what do you know when that zone was created?
I do not know the long-term history. No.
So if I said sometime in the 70s, that would probably be pretty close.
Yeah, that sounds about. I mean, a lot of the buildings there are that age, so yeah, that has been seen recently. Yeah.
So for the last 50 years, it hasn't been developed. Does that tell you anything about the desirability of the lot, or what does that factor in?
I mean, I can't really speak to why, I guess. So yeah, but you're right. I mean, I don't know the specifics of why it wouldn't be developed or what was the reasoning. So, but I can't speak to that. But I understand what you're saying. But yeah, I can't speak to the specifics why still. But
and it is what street would be utilized for the frontage on this?
I believe, let me see if I can pull up my map. Apologize, if you could bear with me a second here. Sec here, 141.
Well, reason I'm looking at your picture here, and that's a rail right away, is it not, on the
Yes,
east
on the
side?
east side, that is a real line.
Okay, so the boroughs would be its frontage street, and are you familiar with the setbacks for this zoning, 25 feet?
Yes, I'm aware of that. Yes.
Okay, and now have you ever are you aware of what the setbacks are now being applied for distance from rail?
I do not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. Okay, so you haven't heard about a recommendation of 200-foot setback from rail then, have you?
I was not aware of that.
Okay. Given these potentials for setbacks everywhere, is there really much of the land that has a development potential?
Well, I mean, I understand, yes, for the setbacks, it does take away a bit of the land. So I believe there's still some potential development. Yes, I don't see it's completely undevelopable. So
In that, I not that's a fair statement. I'm just saying that there are additional development limitations on
yes.
this compared. Okay.
Yes, I do.
And do you know what the use is today?
As far as I know at this point, it's just storage. That I'm not. I said I haven't really driven by the property recently, so I'm not entirely sure what it's currently being used for. But.
Oh, okay. So you weren't aware that that it is now parking for 11 Plymouth?
No, I was not aware of that.
So. Okay. And as compared to your other parcels, none of these do any of these share similar limitations?
Well, looking at comparable number 2, I guess it'd be the same kind of idea. It's located close to a rail line as well on Hyde there, so that would be probably the only one I can think of that would be similar. So.
Okay. All right, and I think, I thought those are my questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Any questions?
I do. It comes back to the way the value of 759 is derived, Matthew. Is this a model-driven number, your square footage cost?
It would be derived from, like, again, sales of similar size. Like we look at the whole market in general. So we're looking at sales overall. And again, we're trying to find sales of similar size, age, location, those factors. So those would be the factors that would derive the land rate. But it would be, yes, we use it in our model, but it's based on sales of similar.
And based on a number of sales.
Correct. Yes.
So when I look at the ones you've picked, I see several that are a couple that are 6 years old. And I'm sure there are others in the many properties that you include in the model that are as old or older. Is there some sort of a factor in the algorithm to inflate those numbers to current sales numbers?
I'll be honest with you, I can't speak to that. I'm not entirely sure the specifics of how that works. Like I said, I understand I showed some older sales, but the reason I was kind of showing older sales is because when you get the bigger parcels of land, it's harder to find a lot more sales. So, and I trying to find sales that would be closer to the subject. So those are some of the reasons I chose some of these sales. I mean, there are other sales maybe much larger too, but like I said, it's sometimes really difficult to find comparable sales. So I did kind of broaden my range for some of the sales I use though. So.
No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. John Joel, any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. I just, one question, are you aware if the rail line that is adjacent to this property is actually active?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure now. So
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I had. So Mr. Neufeld, please proceed with your presentation.
Yes, thank you. I'm just okay. Yeah, that was a very interesting question on it being active. The rail is a spur, and it goes from Inkster Park, from the properties that are serviced by rail, and the crossing on Burroughs is active. It doesn't get a lot of traffic. The issue on the rail is that it's something that's been put forward by rail companies as well as municipalities, and it is not in our code, but it is shows the deterrent. After the accidents that had happened, I think the large one in Quebec with the fire, as well as some other ones that had happened, the pressure is on to have a 200-foot setback from the center line of the railway. And especially for industrial users in hauling more flammable products. And the spur is in an industrial neighborhood. So why I bring this up is that there's no official setback. The buildings on Inkster at this juncture are in Inkster Park are set back 100 feet from the center line right now. And that is the one that would count, is the 100-foot setback. But 200 is on the table and is a concern for all the users. The front setback is by bylaw 25 feet. So your setbacks on your developable property on a lot like this, which is shallow, the building depth is restricted to about 100 feet using the 100-foot centerline rule. And using the 200-foot centerline rule, there is no development potential. And again, I'm not out to tell you that that is in the law, but it is something that when a development comes forth, the rail lines are now objecting to anything within 200 feet because it's liability for them, and it's an additional impediment to development. So that is one of the factors we are aware of and we look at. The property since the 70s has never been developed. It's another one of our orphan pieces, and it's because of the configuration, the setback, the proximity to multifamily across the street. And the current use will likely be its highest and best use, which is 11 Plymouth. There is a new user in there, and they have a parking requirement. It has now been paved for their parking. And that is the highest and best use. So if we're comparing it to sales for development, it wouldn't be fair. It's going to be an accessory use, and that by the way is Amazon, who are renting 11 Plymouth, and as part of the deal, they got the parking in their rent. So it's already covered in the rent from the lease on 11 Plymouth, and we will be bringing 11 Plymouth to the board. So what we're looking at on these is a joint, that there's an economic value to it, whatever that might be. The Plymouth lease, I think, is around $650 a foot with the parking for 2 titles, two rolls. So whatever number that is, 11 Plymouth isn't scheduled for, I'm just taking a look here, my old-fashioned calendar. I don't have it down for at least a month from now. So whatever happens today, we plan on taking it into account. So at this point, the value I want to say is it doesn't have an independent value. Its value is related to the other property, and so our submission was just a rather hypothetical approach to it at this point in time. It was just the same sales we had looked at before, and they would, and again, we were looking at more of our orphans, our ones that are just, you know, not really ready for development. And to the assessor sales, we'd also looked at, because they're in close proximity, our average was $550 a square foot. So for today, we're looking at $239,000 an acre. And whatever, as I said, whatever happens today, the the next time when 11 Plymouth comes to hearing, we'll be looking at a joint value. So I don't know what else to say. It's accessory parking and it's not developable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horling. Any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
I just one. So I understand like the setbacks and everything you kind of mentioned. So I understand it's being used for parking currently. So like, I mean, so are you like, I mean, I understand that it's used for, so you're saying it has, like, it can't be developable, or just, it's not going to be just based on what's being used, I guess, or.
Well, I think that the potential for development has always been low, and that's just, you know, obvious from the many years it's been on the market. 11 Plymouth in the past wasn't a high density building, so I think the same owner had it, and historically it looked like they had maybe an acre of it being used for outside storage. It looks like wood materials. Now 11 Plymouth has been redone for the Amazon site. They have more employees, they need more parking, so I guess it fell into the use that you know, it moved into it, and would be encompassed by the rent obtained on that site. I'm just checking to see. We manage it, so I'm going to get a copy of the lease and just make sure it gets forwarded to the assessment department so you can see how the parking's included. I mean, today's value is, I think, is purely hypothetical. I mean, look at the name on the title. It's called 11 Plymouth nominee. It's linked to it. Likely, if their use hadn't come along, it would be doubtful that they would find another use. I think this is adjacent to the high school as well, right? And that's just not adjacent, but it's immediately east of there. So those are the sort of uses that came in on this parcel of land on Burroughs.
That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dundell, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread, any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
Just a point of clarification on page 2, your photo, there's a red dot on what looks like a building or something, not on the property that Matthew has indicated. Is that just an error?
No, that is 11 Plymouth. That's the building that's affiliated with the parking lot.
So that's the 11 Plymouth you're talking about.
Right, and you can see, yeah.
The actual property is the property outlined in blue?
That's correct, immediately south of it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
The picture below is the subject property, though.
I understand. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And I have no questions. So, gentlemen, any requirement for summation?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld?
You know, like I said, the theme for today was orphan properties that lack the capability for independent development, and this one has value now because of the building next door. So I don't think we're looking at any properties today that are top-notch industrial. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we have heard all the items scheduled for today, and so this hearing is now adjourned, and I thank you all for your participation. Thank you.